everyone, it's Maki here. Jamitov Hymem is one of the key figures in Z GUNDAM. What impression do you have of him? He is the leader of the Titans, an extremist military organization. Originally created to protect the security of the Earth's Federation government, the Titans are an internal faction within the Earth's Federation forces. They were established by selecting highly capable soldiers with the goal of safeguarding peace and order for the citizens. However, in Z GUNDAM, the Titans commit a series of terrifying acts. They carried out an operation involving the use of poison gas to massacre people who voiced opposition to the Earth's Federation government. In truth, however, the real culprits behind this incident were not actually the Titans. Today, I'll be sharing information about Jamitov Hymem that I haven't had a chance to cover in previous episodes. These details may seem minor, but knowing them could give you a fresh perspective on him. Before we dive into the main topic, I have a quick announcement to make. I'm currently welcoming support through memberships on my channel. For just 99 cents per month, you can get a badge next to your name and perks for your comments. Now then, let's begin the analysis. Is Jamitov truly evil? I've discussed this topic in previous episodes too. He acted based on an ideology called Earth supremacy. However, this doesn't mean believing that the Earth's Federation government is the absolute highest authority and must dominate the people. Rather, it's the belief that in order to restore the environment of Earth, humanity should leave the planet entirely and migrate to space. The philosophy of Earth supremacy was intended to save a planet on the verge of destruction due to severe environmental damage. So, what kind of resolve did Jamitov have in pursuing this ideology? This is detailed in the third volume of the Z GUNDAM novel. The author of the novel was Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino. I am already old. I am prepared to die at any time. Before my life ends, I will carry out what is absolutely necessary for Earth. These were Jamitov's words. There is a passage that describes how these words were put into action. Upon the end of the one-year war, Jamitov severed all ties with his blood relatives. He then began taking steps to establish the Titans. He sought to collapse the Earth's economy through war and eliminate those who continue to monopoly and pollute the planet. While the ideology was noble, it was saddened that many lives would be lost because of Jamitov's actions. He himself understood this truth. That's why he cut ties with all his relatives, resolved to take responsibility for everything that happened and moved forward. Jamitov's past is shrouded in mystery. The book Mobile Suit Z GUNDAM Complete Collection. However, what's written there is nothing more than draft stage settings. It's unclear how much of this material was reflected in the final version of the story. For now, let's simply consider it as one possible interpretation. He was said to be the president of a company called the Continental Reconstruction Corporation. At the same time, he also served as the head of an organization known as the International Bond Management Corporation, which functioned as Earth's gambling syndicate. These entities are mostly mentioned by name only, with little detail. Judging purely by the name, could the Continental Reconstruction Corporation have been an organization aimed at restoring Earth, which had been devastated by environmental pollution? The existence of an official gambling syndicate is also intriguing. There is no mention of it being an illegal gambling organization. The word reconstruction can be interpreted in many ways. Pay attention to what Haman Khan says in episode 27 of Gundam Double Zeta. Do you know what the foolish humans living on Earth have done? In their obsession with reconstruction, they ignored Earth's pollution and even exacerbated it. Such actions cannot be forgiven. Therefore, reconstruction may not have referred to the restoration of the natural environment. Instead, it could have meant reshaping the Earth to suit humans, regardless of the impact on nature and other living beings. Perhaps Jamitov witnessed this kind of so-called reconstruction being carried out by selfish individuals, and his hatred for them only grew stronger. The gambling syndicate may also have played a part in his witnessing human greed firsthand. As I mentioned earlier, Jamitov's goal was to use war to collapse the economy and eliminate those living on Earth. But what is essential for waging war? The answer can change depending on the circumstances, but Jamitov believed that having an opponent to fight was crucial. Without an adversary, the act of war itself would be impossible. He feared a scenario in which the Titans, with their immense combat power, might defeat Ego too quickly. If victory came too soon, it would not lead to the elimination of those living on Earth. Instead, such a result would strengthen the power of Earth's government officials. This is why for Jamitov, even the Titan's enemy, the Elugo was an important presence. In the middle of the Zeta Gundam story, the Elugo leader Brax IV is assassinated. Jamitov looks deeply displeased at that moment. He even remarks that he was unable to stop Ask and the lower-ranking soldiers from acting recklessly. After this conversation, there is a scene in which Jamitov gazes out over the desert. What was going through his mind at that time? Taking into account everything we've discussed so far, wouldn't revisiting that scene give you a whole new perspective? So, was Jamitov really evil? Mr. Tomino evaluates his actions in the novel. This is written in the third volume. One side of Jamitov's theory was correct. However, his arrogance was revealed by the fact that he chose physical means. While Mr. Tomino does not completely deny Jamitov's ideology, he does condemn his actions. Through the words of Zeta Gundam's protagonist Camille Biden, the rejection of physical means is also expressed. The ones who really need to be eliminated are the people whose souls have been pulled down by Earth's gravity. But for so many people to die for that is just wrong. I felt that these words reflected Tomino's own ideas. Before we finish, I'd like to share something slightly off topic. In G-Clax, which is set in a parallel world of the Universal Century, Jamitov does not appear. However, some fans speculated that the final enemy of G-Clax's story might actually be Jamitov. This prediction was based on the early revelation that Jamitov was the head of a gambling syndicate. Fans connected this with the fact that Clan Battle, a gambling act, was an important element in the story. So, how would you evaluate Jamitov's ideology? Mr. Tomino denied it not only through Camille, but also through Amorway's words. The words Amor spoke to Sharazanable also applied to Jamitov. Don't rush to a conclusion. However, being an old man, Jamitov felt the pressure of having little time left in his life. Perhaps after running a massive organization, he came to a firm belief, not just an assumption, that it is unlikely for those in power to hold noble ideals. Understanding Jamitov Hymem's ideology may make you want to carefully observe the arguments of Sharazanable and Martin Neviuarian. Thank you for watching until the end. See you again in the next episode.